Now I'm going to give a shot on removing the sofa. First things first, I'll clear off all the appliances off of it. I'm going to attempt to move the old refrigerator, which thankfully I already have a buyer, and move it out the door. Now, as you can see, my driveway isn't the biggest, so I parked as far away as I could from the retaining wall there. So the fridge here is not gonna fit out the door when that is the farthest the door can open. So I'm going to have to remove the door. Gonna get out the Phillips screwdriver and away I'll go. Well, everything is fun and games until you strip a screw. I detest strip screws. I finally got the stripped screw out, and it was a royal pain. You could see I had to cut into it like so. I used my oscillating tool, and then I took a standard bit on my drill, along with using the screwdriver at first by hand, and eventually got it out. But it was a royal pain. I hate strip screws. But that's done. We can continue. Here's what the door by the door frame looks like when I have it open. Those screws no longer fit inside those holes. You can see here, they're just barely hanging on or falling out. The ones at the bottom are the ones pretty much supporting the door, but they're also going to fall out too as they're loose. So this is what I need to fix. This is the original screw that goes into the door. It's a size 8, and I believe it's a 1/2 inch. This is the equivalent, or the best equivalent, I was able to find at my local hardware store. As you can see, when I put it in, it just spins. So here's another screw I bought at my local hardware store. It's the same number 8, or about the same, but longer. I'll try that. The longer screw also spins in place. No good. So the similar size screw did not work. A similar screw that was longer did not work. Lastly, I also bought at the hardware store the next size up, a number 10. Same threading, but it does have a different head. Instead of the typical Phillips head, this has a standard and one that you can use a wrench or socket on. Now, I do not know if this is going to work at all, or even if it does fasten the door, I don't know if this head will end up getting in the way. I got nothing to lose, so I will find out. You can see here, it is a clamp with a couple of Phillips screws holding down the bed sofa to the floor here. Like that. There's the back of the sofa. Here's the cushions pushed up. I have to loosen that. And then I already loosened the equivalent on this side down there. And you can see there is the clamp. I had to use a very, very long screwdriver. Here's a close-up of the second bracket I took out in its hardware, securing the couch bed to the floor here. And take a look. One screw's in its full condition, but you can see that the other one has been sheared off. And when I tried unscrewing it with the screwdriver, it just screwed in place, and that's why. So once I got the fully intact screw out, the whole bracket just popped up. Very interesting. That's what you find in older motorhomes. Well, older anything for that matter. Wear and tear. Next, I'm going to remove these bolts that are attaching the underside of the fold-out sofa bed. It attaches there too. Right along there where the baseboard is. I'd like to take that off. So to do that, I'll loosen that bolt. So I have my socket set up here in order to loosen that bolt. I fitted it out, and it'll take an 11mm socket, like so. And then here is my socket wrench. And as you can see here, the switch for righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, or loosen or tighten is not labeled. So quick tip on order to figure out what is what. Remember, righty-tighty usually is to fasten things. Lefty-loosey is generally used to loosen fasteners. So, we have it on the one side. I'm going to take and turn it. You can see when it's on that side, the positive resistance goes lefty-loosey or counterclockwise. So that means when it's at this setting, it's going to loosen the bolt. When I switch it to this setting, now we turn it, and you can see positive resistance is met in a clockwise direction, or righty-tighty. So in other words, when the lever is that way, it's going to tighten. And when the lever is that way, it's going to loosen. Helpful little tip. I love righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. With both bolts loosened from that side and the equivalent on this side, the baseboard should come out. Like so. And you get to reveal now, or I can see a lot better, what's under this sofa bed couch. Aha! There's that elusive seat belt I was looking for. Now I'm going to remove the large bolt that attaches it to the armrest on this side and on that side. I've removed the bolt from this side, and then there's also two bolts on this side that I also removed. So the armrest comes up and out like that. Did the same for the other side. One bolt on this side two on that. You really can't see them from this angle. And the armrest comes out, along with some big washers. I'm looking for the last few screws that anchor this sofa bed in to the RV floor, and it looks like we have that one with a standard slot. And then way down there will be the equivalent one below as well. You'll notice on these last two nuts that I just removed that there's more than one way to remove them. You can use the slotted screwdriver or the standard, fits right in there, and turn. Or probably the easier way, especially if they're in tight spaces, is to use a socket and socket wrench. This one being in particular 3/8, because it fits around there, and then you can righty-tighty, lefty-loosey as well. This socket is much easier in my opinion than just using the standard screwdriver. I took out two more bolts from the last ones. The last ones were there and the equivalent on the other side. Well, there were two more that I could find located right behind here. Probably the toughest, tightest spot I've had to get into to loosen this couch from the RV floor. Now, the RV fold-out sofa bed is completely loose and ready to be taken out. With a little bit of elbow grease and some tools, magically disappears like